Okay. The 5 things that are in the way of you actually receiving the abundance that you are trying to call in, that your soul is saying, like, please, I want more. I want more money. I need more resources. I have these debts I need to pay, or I have things I want to do. I have dreams I want to pursue. All of these things take financial resources. And I'm speaking very specifically right now to the light workers, the healers, the spiritual teachers, the heart centered, beautiful beings who know that they're here to make a difference on the planet. First off, let me know if you're listening, if that's you. And just for funsies, share in the comments what you identify as, if anything. Labels are useful to help us self-identify, um, because there's going to be something that we're resonant with, but we don't want to stay stuck in that box, because I bet most of you are just as multidimensional as I am. And it's like, yeah, I'm this, but that doesn't quite nail it. And I'm also that, but that's not all. And it just, language is so great to give us context, to give us resonance, but we don't want to be boxed in by it. So regardless of how you label yourself, if you feel like you are here to help humanity, if you're someone who looks at the world and you're like, this could be better, like we could do things better, I think I could help with that. And you've got a dream on your heart to help somehow, or maybe you're already doing it in some way and you feel like there's an expansion or a next level of that. We need to talk about money. We need to talk about abundance. We need to talk about you having the freaking resources that you require to do your work in the world. So I have identified 5 common blocks that I have not only lived through, like I have had to identify these in me and go, okay, this is not supporting me. We need to move through it. But I also see these over and over again with my clients, my students, my friends, and then also just out in the general community. Like I keep my finger on the pulse through my Facebook group, but also just like scrolling on the internet. I see these money blocks come up over and over and over again, and I'm over it. I am freaking over it, because if we, as the heart centered, spiritually aligned people who are here to help, don't have the freaking resources we need to actually do our soul work, then we can't do our soul work, my friends. It is limited. If you are in survival mode, which means you feel like you don't have enough, then how are you supposed to help other people? If you're in survival mode, all of your magic is kind of gonna be toned down. You can't access it because you are just trying to get enough to survive. You're worried about meeting your own needs. And whether that's like actually, life or death, like having a roof over your head and having enough food to eat, or if it's meeting the needs that you have for education and self-fulfillment and self-care, and the need that you have to go travel and pick up uh, key codes at sacred sites. Right? If you're being called, I don't know, to Sedona or to Bali or to Peru and you can't get there, you're not fulfilling a soul craving, a soul desire that is designed to actually move you forward, to move you towards what you want. So we need our needs to be met so fully that we are overflowing with energy so we can give from the excess. Because I tell you what, the time of giving from the little meager pot that we have and then not having enough for ourselves, while that is noble and beautiful, it is limiting. It means you're going to then not have enough and then you're done, you're out. It's just going to keep you stuck. It's beautiful. I'm saying the woman who, gives, two toonies and that's all the money she had in the week to somebody else who needed it. Like that's absolutely gorgeous. Her heart is pure. But that kind of self-sacrifice means that you are only going to stay at the level of scarcity and lack, and you're never going to be able to make the big impact that I know that you feel inside of you you're here to make. Because let's get real. Money is not going away anytime soon. So we need to work within the system to heal the system or break the system, however you feel good about putting it. If you want to, I don't know, clean up the world, help make sure other people have enough food, you want to improve education, you want to improve health, you know what that takes? Honestly, it's resources. And we store energy as money right now. Money is stored resources. It means that you can do things. Money, like it or not, is a powerful tool. And we have to talk more about it. And I want the freaking light workers, heart-centered healers, and all of you people who are here to do good to have more than enough. More than enough money. It is your time to have more than enough. So again, you're giving from the overflow instead of giving from the place where if you give, you're doing it out of love, but then you're lacking and then you're in this survival mode where you just don't have enough for yourself. Can you feel the difference in energy? The old paradigm that was scarcity, lack, fear, not enoughness is where most of us were raised. So we're holding those old programs inside of us. They're in our neural pathways, they're in our body, they're in our collective consciousness. So it's not your fault that you have been playing these games, that you have these blocks. But guess what? We're going to eliminate them so that you know that they're there, because if they're conscious, then you can see them, you can feel them, and then you can heal them, transform them, remove them, and put in something that's actually going to help you get to where you want to go, which is having the income, the resources, the abundance to actually, first off, be an overflow, because it's okay to want more than just eking out enough. And then you get to do the work. You get to fund the projects. Oh my God, I can't wait to be a millionaire so that I can be a philanthropist, so I can fund projects. When I see people working on technologies or programs that are going to make the world a better place, I'll be like, oh yeah, I want to help with that. Here's my money so that I can help, right? It is a resource that can be given freely when we have overflowing abundance. So we need more of the heart-centered healers, leaders, light workers, spiritually adept people who are going to do good things with their money to have it. Let me know if you want to fight about this. Like, come at me in the comments and tell me that healers should be always impoverished. Tell me that the light workers should be too holy to want money. And I will tell you that Mother Teresa raised millions of dollars. Sure, she didn't have the money herself, but she needed it for the projects to feed. And like, there's a lot of crazy stuff that went on there. I'm just using the first example that popped into my head. There's actually a lot of like dirty, weird, shady stuff that went on in her resources, but there was still money that was raised and money that was used. And you're gonna need it if you have big things to do. And you can fundraise for it or you can make it. Why not have the freedom to do both so you can have the freaking power to not be beholden to a board, right? Like, to not be beholden to other people. I want you to be so freaking sovereign and so freaking abundant that you can just be in that flow, that infinite flow. Wouldn't that feel good? Yeah, money solves problem. It's a tool. Yes, exactly. Exactly. So this is the thing. I am going to also speak out before I give you these 5 money blocks and some tools on how to move through them. Just going to acknowledge my privilege. I was born into a white upper class family in Canada. I have a post-secondary education, right? I have had money. I have not been like destitute ever in my life. So I am speaking from that place of privilege. I've also always worked for my money since I was, or for money since I was 14 years old, right? I've worked 2 jobs. I have worked my butt off. I have done a lot of work. I've run businesses. I have had 6-figure years. I've had 20K months. I've also overinvested in programs that underdelivered and gone into debt because of them. I have had the gambit of that kind of experience. I've never been poor. My husband, he grew up with like the experience of not having enough to eat, going to bed with a hungry belly kind of experience. And so I've learned a lot from his experience, but I've never experienced that kind of lack in my own personal life, for which I am grateful. And also, I've still had blocks. I've still had programs in my brain that I didn't even realize were in there because They were insidiously put there either through my ancestry, my akashics, my childhood experience, or just the frickin' collective programming it in. And I'm sure many of you have had the range of experiences from having like, big sums of money won or gifted to you, or having not enough. But there's just so much gunk around money and spirituality that keeps us from actually being able to do the work that we're here to do. And I feel like I'm on a freaking mission right now to help the light workers, the healers, the heart-centered leaders actually shift out of the frequency of scarcity, which is a frequency where you feel like you're not enough and there's not enough and you're disconnected from your power, your source, and your magic, into the frequency of abundance, where we actually have the access to enough of whatever resources we need to solve the frickin' problems. This is where our multidimensional intelligence lies. This is where we have access to our intuition as well as money. So when I say money, it's like it's a real thing, but it's also tied to all of these other things that we also want to access, right? So what kind of blocks can we have? The first one is from the frequency of scarcity that is wired into your nervous system as well as your brain, as well as your emotional realms and all of these other levels and layers. And it's just the feeling that there is not enough, feeling like there is a limited amount of resources. And that can be true in very certain circumstances, especially in the past. However, that is only true from the frequency of scarcity, where there is limited resources. And that is where humanity's been playing for a long time, for many millennia. We have not had enough. There is a frequency of abundance, like I was talking about, where we have access to infinite resources. We have access to creation energy, source energy, unlimited abundance, because we are connected to all things instead of separate from them. And that's the difference. There's a big gap between scarcity and abundance in terms of the frequency bandwidth that they're inhabiting, that they exist in. Humans are these radio transceivers and transmitters, and we can tune in to a really wide range of frequencies, but only in a regulated state where we feel safe enough to do so. So the second that we don't feel safe, that we feel like we feel like our survival is threatened, we have no access to the higher frequency bandwidth, because our nervous system throws up these energetic shields that limits what we can see and feel and hear and touch and taste in that bandwidth, which cuts off our intuition, our digestive system, our immune system, right? The second we don't feel safe, your body down regulates all of the things that are not necessary for your immediate survival. And so we've been hanging out collectively in that field of there is not enough, there is not enough. And it becomes this perpetual cycle because it's disconnected from source. I channel Gaia. I work with Gaia, Mother Earth, very, very often in all of my client sessions. She's working with me, co-creating with me. And there was a really fun channeling session that I did one time, actually in a masterclass. And she was like, I need you to tell everybody that I was actually designed as a system to have more than enough resources, because it's a closed system that is self-perpetuating. So if things are working harmoniously and the ecosystem and all of the inhabitants in it are working together, we can create all of the energy, food, resources, clean water that we need and that we require. The only time that doesn't work is when people are disconnected from the entire ecosystem, which humanity has done, save for many pockets of groups. Indigenous groups, mystical groups that are secret holders that are in connection with Gaia and everything. There have been pockets, but like, let's be real, most of society for the last many hundreds of years has been cut off from nature. And the idea that we are all infinitely connected in this beautiful ecosystem that can create enough resources for everybody, for way more people that are on this planet right now. She's like, we are nowhere near the maximum capacity. It's that the resources are not being allocated wisely enough, and the resources are not being shared in the proper way. They're not also going back into the system to be recycled, right? So the way that we're doing it has been cutting us off from having enough. She also has this to say about money. She's like, it's made up, right? We can make up money. It's no longer tied to something that is tangible, like gold bars, right? It's no longer tangible. Money in and of itself can be infinite. So we need to really understand what abundance and scarcity are and understand and tap into that frequency of abundance so we can stop feeling like there is not enough, because that is one experience and it's real and it's true, but only when you're disconnected from source energy. Only when you're disconnected from the earth and from other people and your intuition and your soul and your multidimensional self. We are not just this human version of us, right? We are multidimensional beings who have lived many past lives. We are living future lives, and some of us have parallel lives. And we are now capable of pulling through the wisdom and information and even technologies from other versions of ourselves throughout space time when we're in the frequency of abundance. And by the way, this is what I teach people how to do. This is what I not only teach people how to do, but I teach other people I teach people how to do it for other people too. So whatever program you're in with me, whether it's one of my memberships or my trainings for coaches and facilitators, we are moving people out of the frequency of scarcity in a somatic, neural programming, heart-centered, coherent way so that the whole human can rise into this frequency of where unity consciousness lives, where there is enough abundance and information and energy for everything. So we have to release and forgive ourselves for believing that there's not enough, because that's not a true statement. It's true in certain circumstances. So you weren't wrong for believing it, but it's not the ultimate truth. And I would like to bring you into the state of that ultimate truth of what is actually real. So, oh my goodness. Number 2, for blocks, not valuing, and these are in no particular order, okay, by the way, not valuing spiritual gifts that you have. Not valuing the spiritual gifts that you have. And that can mean not believing that you are worthy of receiving abundance just for your work in the world, which can look like not actually doing anything with them to exchange for money. Some of you are in that space where like, I know I have spiritual gifts, but I'm not really making money with them. First off, that's probably not true because you're bringing them into whatever employment situation you have right now. Um, but you might need to make the leap into something that is going to fully utilize the unique template of magic that you're bringing to the world. And it's a journey to find it, right? There is a journey to find it, and it takes study and practice as well as just believing that you're worthy. And this is a big piece of it too, where people are not willing to put the work in to be paid for their spiritual gifts, because there could be a belief that like it should just all happen, easily and effortlessly, but faith without works is just absolutely delusional. It takes really hard work and honing your practice and honing your skills to do something like that, whether you're wanting to become a coach, a healer, a teacher, a facilitator, or an inventor, a musician, like an artist who's also being paid for your skills. Here's the thing. You need to do this. This is kind of twofold. You have to believe that your spiritual gifts and what your unique essence to bring to the world is enough of value to be paid for, and believe in yourself enough to train and practice so it is like worthy of people exchanging stuff for you. Because when you're just beginning, it's probably not. You'd probably give your work away for free. But too many people get stuck in that phase because they're not training hard enough to get to the next phase, which is then being able to charge for it, which takes developing a whole nother set of skills, which includes marketing yourself and literally telling people about the gifts that you own with enough conviction that people are like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I need. Shut up and take my money here. So there are these multiplicities of things in what I'm realizing. I put as number 2 because these were in no order, but like this probably should have been number 5. should have checked my work, but I just wanted to come on here and get right into it. So if you're just giving away your gifts forever, you might be hanging out in a belief that they're not worth anything, or that you shouldn't be charging for your spiritual gifts because they were given to you by God. Guess what? A surgeon's spiritual gifts, that was a gift to them, right? That is their spiritual gift that was given to them by God. And artists or the universe or whatever, right? Divine providence, whatever you're gonna, if you're triggered by God, think of something else. It's all, when I say God, I mean the grand organizing design principle that is the consciousness behind all of creation, not Sky Daddy, okay? The other thing that we can think of is that, yeah, we shouldn't be charging for those gifts. This is the train of thought I was on, which would mean that artists should not, they should not charge for their art. But what is a person supposed to eat if they are not being paid for the work they're putting out into the world? Spiritual healing, coaching, facilitating, teaching, all of those things are the same as the artist and the doctor and the welder and the engineer's gifts. We all have innate gifts and we all should be paid abundantly for them. Okay, we're not getting into the conversation about a lack of equity in pay. We're just saying everybody should be paid abundantly for their gifts. But you also need to know that if you have the old program of it's not holy to charge for your spiritual gifts, that was put in to the brain of people or the program of the collective to keep us in scarcity. Because if we're in scarcity, then we don't have power. So the powers that be wanted to keep the healers and the spiritual leaders broke as fuck so they couldn't do anything to the people in power who were wielding their power in a less than ideal way. Okay. So shifting this for yourself is one of the most revolutionary things you can do. I actually go through a whole 2-hour workshop with a clearing and healing on this inside my Sacred Business Codex, which is inside the Abundant as Fuck Lightworker membership, or you can buy it on your own. At the end of this, I will give you some links if you want to like go deeper into clearing and healing and rewiring the body and the mind and the brain for all of this, because I have the tools to literally do this. But sometimes just speaking into them and illuminating them is enough to go, oh my gosh, okay, I've been operating in this old way and I need something new. So that old program about healers and other people should not charge for their gifts is kind of related to a distortion that came in with block number 3, which is a phrase that is distorted and unfinished that most of you have heard. Money is the root of all evil. Have you heard that one before? Money is the root of all evil. That's a quote that is in so many people's minds insidiously. It's in the collective. People spout it off all the time. And they mean that money is what is causing all of the problems in the world. You know what it actually says? It actually says the love of money is the root of all evil. The love of money is the root of all evil is meant to say, and remember, words have all these different frequencies and distortions sometimes, when people love money above other things, above the thing, above people, above themselves, above anything else, when money becomes an idol that people worship, that's when the problems happen. It's not that money itself is an issue. Money is a neutral tool, and it is the frequency of the person and the beliefs of the person and the embodiment of the person that's using it that either twists it into something, gross and ugh, not great for humanity, or something that can serve humanity. The same $1 million could go to cleaning up the environment or feeding hungry children or building bombs. Money's not the problem, right? I think we all can consciously agree with that, but there's so many people who still have it in their mind that if I have money, that would mean that I am a bad person, or if I charge money for my spiritual gifts, I'm a bad person. We need to wipe that shit out of the field completely, okay? So how do you do that? There's lots of ways, but you have to rewire the body and the brain, right? Through both the somatics and the neural reprogramming, lots of tools that you can use to do that. I am actually doing a live on this next week inside the Abundant AF Lightworker membership, where we're going to go through literal steps to rewire the body, rewire the brain, and that creates a new normal where we're not using the old programs, which your subconscious is using, even if your conscious mind is like, of course not, but you can be holding these in that sub or unconscious mind that are actually making you make moves that keep you from having a lot of money because you really want to make sure that you're a good and holy and kind and just person, not an evil person, right? People say there's no such thing as an ethical billionaire, eat the rich, all of that stuff. And I'm like, actually, like, I don't agree. I'm sure a lot of the billionaires, if not all of them right now, are unethical, but to say there could be no such thing, I don't think so. I think that is just a belief that people have based upon the past. But the past is where we've been hanging out in scarcity. If we can shift people into the frequency of abundance, where all things are possible and they are working in that unity field, why not? Why not? I don't see why it's not possible. And I would love, again, for you to fight me on this. If you think that you're like, no, it's impossible. And I'll go, that's fine. That's your perspective. You're seeing it from the place of what has been, which is scarcity in the past. But I like to believe in infinite possibilities. It's an infinite game we're playing, and we are all evolving and ascending and bringing our souls into our bodies through a soul embodiment process, which means we can lead from a new place. We can lead from a new place. And the amount of millionaires that I personally know or are friends with, I'm not one of them yet, but I will be, or they're mentors of mine that are heart-centered, aligned, and working for humanity out there right now. I can name probably 30 off the top of my head. Like, they are out there. Maybe they're not billionaires yet, but like, give it 10 years. Like, I'm excited to see what's going to happen. So we've gone through three, and I kind of touched on these as well, but let's go into number 4 is being afraid of the power because power corrupts. Right? This is where we are fearing that if we have money, then we will turn into those unethical billionaires or whatever level you're thinking of it. If I have money, then I'm not going to be the same person and it's going to corrupt me. And again, this might not be your conscious thought, but it could be in your subconscious so insidiously that it's not even like illuminated for you. But we can do clearing work to really make sure that that is not anywhere in your brain, right? Where you forgive yourself for believing that the way other people are and what their story is going to be your story. We need to destroy and uncreate anywhere and everywhere we have bought and sold the idea that we would be corrupted by money and just erase it all from every layer across time and space. And if you're not sure how to do that, then I do have tools, again, inside my membership, inside my courses, inside my programs that I can walk you through to actually eradicate it from the field that is in you. And we can do that by getting you so stable, so aligned, so rooted into your own soul energy and clear and clean that you are uncorruptible and unfuckwithable, right? We can only be corrupted like that if we are able to be influenced by other people and other ideas and other programs. I teach people when we're going through this out of the frequency of scarcity into abundance, also to become so sovereign and stable in self that that's not an option. It's not an option if you give yourself the tools, the training, the mindset mastery, the neural programming, the emotional maturity and regulation, the spiritual maturity, as well as the somatic capacity to hold your sovereignty. It doesn't even have to be a thing. It doesn't have to be in your field. It's just an old story. So then number 5, the other block. Again, I alluded to this earlier because they're also interwoven. It is expecting to manifest your millions without taking action. Faith without works, I will repeat this again, is delusional. Sure, you might win a lottery ticket and it might just come to you, but you have to buy the lottery ticket, right? Like, there has to be some kind of action. the easiest, fastest, most potent way to create an infinite money machine is to take your spiritual gifts and turn your unique thing that you have into a business that will pay you handsomely. Because when you are playing in the realm of employment, then your financial abundance is capped. You can only make as much as people are paying you. So the true ways to completely infinite abundance is there's obviously a few, but there's active income through a business, or having some kind of passive income and investment that is going to perpetually bring you money. So that is another way, right? Investing in things with dividends and what have you. But again, you're limited by the other companies and what dividends they will pay you. So I don't know. I personally like the idea of having a business where the sky isn't the limit, because it can keep growing throughout my entire lifetime. And I think it's wise to learn also how to invest, and wise how to do all kinds of different things. Most millionaires have 7 different streams of income, but just playing in the energy of limitation is going to keep us in the frequency of scarcity and lack and not enoughness. So most people that are here to make really big impact in the world, I have found just through observation, and the people that I know have a calling to do something that is uniquely theirs, or to be part of another mission that is doing that. So you don't have to have your own business, but you might share your spiritual gifts with a company or another person who is doing that work, right? It's finding who you are, what you bring to the table, accessing your full freaking magic, because you are in a clear place, a clear channel for your soul energy to come through, and then studying and practicing and investing enough time and money into the craft of not only doing the work that you're here to do, again, whether that's like working with sound frequencies, inventing new medical technologies, coaching, healing, facilitating, working with other people, working with mental health, cleaning up the environment, whatever your gifts are, you have to hone that. And then you have to hone the ability to sell it and share it and market it, at least until you are either picked up, if you're not meant to be the entrepreneur yourself, until you are in the work that you need to do, right? You have to get out there and find it, or you have to build it yourself if it doesn't exist already. That might sound like a lot of freaking things. They're all really one thing, and it's being disconnected from the actual truth of reality, which is the frequency of abundance is actually our freaking birthright. When we can be sovereign in ourselves and able to be so clear that we can tune in with our body and our mind and our heart to that frequency where everything is possible and everything is connected, and we can speak to our soul, we can connect with source, we can talk to Gaia, we can get the wisdom of our luminous team, our guides, angels, multidimensional self even, then there is no limiting us, because we are these infinite beings, and there's this constant evolution that we get to grow through, right? When we're playing in the frequency of scarcity, the frequency of lack, the frequency of not enough, we are afraid because we feel like we might not survive. Whether that's like actually the case and you're in danger of death, or that's just what your ego is telling you because it feels so unsafe from past traumas that it's like, okay, we have to do everything to keep us alive. So we can't take any risks. We can't play it small. And we certainly can't open up to connect with everything. That's where we get stuck. That's where things feel bleak. That's where we are depressed. We feel like there's never enough. The world is ending and we cannot see the possibilities. That's where we are disempowered. That's where we are victims to circumstances. And while circumstances have victimized so many of us, there's also our own personal responsibility to take our power freaking back from that, and to remember who the fuck we are, and to take the actions that are required to take to do the healing and transformation and alchemy that is necessary so that we can share our magic, so we can know and touch our magic first and then share it with the world. That is the trajectory of the Lightworker. This is our evolutionary journey. This is how we actually help the world, by doing the inner work first. So we are sovereign and abundant AF internally. We're connected, we're resourced, we feel like we're lacking nothing. And then we take the aligned action steps from that place. That's how we make the world the place that we are not only dreaming of, but we can feel exists already in a future trajectory that we are just trying to bring into the now. So this is the 5 core money blocks, are not core even. These are just 5 of the blocks that are up the most for the people in my world. If you identify with any of these and you were like, I would like to not have this stuck in my field, I'd like to invite you to come into the Abundant AF Lightworker membership or any of the other work that I'm doing so that we can clean and clear this out of you and you can feel the resources that are, again, your freaking birthright, to feel that frequency of abundance in a very tangible way, because I will bring you there. I will bring you in with activations and meditations so you can literally feel it in your body. You don't have to think that it may exist. You'll be like, oh, I know what this feels like now. And then you just learn to live from that place. We use the somatic practices, the neural reprogramming practices, the practical action pieces, as well as the magical pieces that my soul loves to share. That's part of my soul magic. The activations, the meditations, and the like sprinkle dust of the multidimensional magic with like the divine love that just makes it feel so good. So I want us all to be abundant AF. Like, this is so important. It's not the only mission that I have. I also want to teach people to tap into their magic and become coaches, facilitators, and healers, learn my alchemical modality. But all of that needs to come from a space of abundance and lead to more abundance. So it's all woven in this beautiful abundant AF ball. So if you have questions, let me know. And I also want to just take a moment to thank you for being here, for even listening this far, to be part of the revolution, to be part of the evolution, to become the unlimited, infinite being that you already actually are, right? Like, it's already on the way, it's already here. And I think it's time for us to play more in all of that magic.